Well, how are you doing today?
I am really good. It was my mom's 79th birthday
Happy
today, so
birthday, Mom.
I'm
Awesome.
excited for that. Yeah, and yeah, so we'll take her out to dinner and do some nice family stuff tonight. Yeah,
That's cool. I take it she lives in or around Seattle, around the area?
she does. She actually, when the pandemic started, we moved into a house together
Oh,
so
that's
that I could
awesome.
help her and her husband take care of themselves.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
and then I have a 7-year-old, so she helps take care of him as well. So,
Awesome. Very cool. Very
yeah.
cool. Well, family oriented. I love that.
Yes, we are very family oriented.
Yeah.
The whole company is really like we at Lumitouch. We always put family first. So we don't make our team work on the weekends or evenings or extra hours or whatever. We're very if you can't get it done in a normal day, then it will have to be done tomorrow or the next day. So
Yeah.
that's how we pace ourselves because that we're kind of in it for the joy of doing it
Hmm.
rather than to beat someone else out or make it to market on time. We're in it for the joy of what we're doing and we absolutely love it. So
Hmm.
you can't love it if you beat yourself up over it every day or wear yourself ragged or your team's not happy. So yeah,
That's
that's
that's really incredible. I think that a lot of people nowadays are like starting to care, I should say customers or potential customers are starting to care more and more about those types of things, like supporting the companies that they enjoy their products, but also the ones that they really appreciate what they stand for. And I think that's really cool that you guys have that.
yeah. I think also I've noticed that I think that shines through in the product
Mm,
because in the care that it takes a whole team of people to really care about the individual bits of the product and the features. And is this feel right? Is it going to be fun to use? Is it going to bring joy to the person using it? And not, I couldn't just say, well, I'm going to have a nice life and my whole team, you guys got to work your butts off. That wouldn't bring that kind of
mhm.
joy to the product. Yeah.
That's really incredible. I think so. One of the things that's really exciting for me to be able to have you guys on today is I've had maybe about I want to say two or three other guests out of my illustrious catalog of guests of 67 running episodes so far. And about two, and you guys might be the third guest that I'm thinking of where I'm having a chance to talk to the face of, if not, a prominent member of the team of a product or service that I really, 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 really use and really enjoy and really appreciate. And so I'm excited to be able to like, certainly I know like a lot of people like will be who use LumaFusion will be interested in hearing certain things or specific things during the interview or during the conversation. But what I'm more interested in is kind of learning about what I want to tee it off with and just like learning a little bit about the history of the company. Like I'm curious about, we know where you guys are right now. If any iPad or iPhone user who's into video editing or content creation, they will have heard of, and hopefully they'll be LumaFusion users, like I am. But I want to know a little bit about kind of what got you guys, to this point. So if you could maybe like high level, as high or as low as you'd like to go, kind of give me like a little rundown on like the history of the company would be awesome.
Sure. I mean, I think that for both Chris and I are the co-founders of the company. Chris is in Salt Lake and I'm here in Seattle. And I think for both of us, our history started way back. So I've had a passion for video editing since I think I started in 1988 at a post house, just doing, online editing actually. And he had a passion for doing the effects part. He had Hollywood Effects. That was his company, which was sold to Pinnacle. And so we started in different places, but both with this passion for what we were doing. And then in the end, ended up working at Avid together. Actually, I think he was also at Fast Multimedia and Pinnacle when I was there. And eventually we met over breakfast. We were in Germany, both visiting Germany for some development effort. And I just thought he was the most genuine, kind person I've met, and he was also a stunning developer. So I was like, I really, I didn't make plans right then, and neither did he. But it was like over the next few years, we had worked on different projects together, like
Mm-hmm.
Pinnacle Studio for iPad, and just and Pinnacle Studio. And I just realized he is just a great developer. He's a guy that, you know, there are developers, I hate to say, but there are developers that if you say, hey, I really want it to work like this, and I know it's a little bit weird, but this is the way I would want it to work. There are developers that would just say, yeah, it can't do that. Because they maybe don't want to do it, or maybe it sounds complicated or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
Chris always says, let me think about that. I bet we can do something to make that happen.
Mm. Yeah.
And then a couple of days later, man, he just comes up with some amazing ways of making things work.
Yeah.
And so when I finally Avid had sold us our whole team to Corel, and Corel was on the path to closing our team like right from day one. So Chris and I had a choice about whether we wanted to go find more jobs at big companies or just go off on our own. And we had felt like we had learned
Mm-hmm.
a lot about developing for video editing, both of
Mm-hmm.
us. And so we thought, hey, let's just try to do this on our own and make exactly what we want without product management and without the marketing and without all the people telling you, well, this feature is going to make us this much money and that one's got to
Mm-hmm.
be made a promise to this bigger company, and all those pressures. Let's get rid of those and see what we can make with
Mm-hmm.
just the passion and the joy. And it's just been incredible. Like we love, I think, I hope all of our team members, but I know for sure Chris and I and a couple other people, like we wake up in the morning and are excited to get to work, whether it's via Slack, which is how we communicate,
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes, not during pandemic, we get to come into the office and actually hang out together. It's just really exciting and super fun. So.
Man, that's incredible. So, okay, so we have two co-founders who worked together at another company, and when the stars aligned in a seemingly bad or precarious situation of losing a job or trying to figure out what the next steps are, that's sort of what gave you guys the excitement and the drive, or the push maybe is the best word, to kind of venture out. So around what year was that, would you say, when you guys first had that idea of doing your own thing?
So we started Luma Touch in 2000. I want to say 2011, or was
Mm-hmm.
it 2013? God, I
Uh-huh.
don't
One of those odd numbers.
know. It must have been 2011 because no, it was 2013. That's right. And I have to give credit to Corel. So one thing, they were closing their company down, or our part of the company down, the part they bought from Avid, because basically what they want to do is buy Avid Studio, turn it into Pinnacle Studio, then close down the team and just, sell the product. That was what their interest was.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris and I had just made Avid Studio for iPad, and we thought it was great. So they were going to let that product phase out too. And we said, hey, Corel, would you mind if we continued to develop that and support it on our own at no cost to you? Just let
Yeah.
us support, and then we share the revenue. And they said, yeah, that's fine with us, because, otherwise it's just going to phase out. And so for the next 3 years, we supported Pinnacle Studio for iPad
Oh,
and
wow.
added stuff to that. And at the same time, we developed LumaFusion. So that was basically the only revenue we had during that 3 years. And it wasn't a lot, but it was enough, just enough. I would say just enough to get us. So
Just
right
enough.
at the end, we were kind of like, we
Yeah.
can't do this much longer. It was pretty touch and go. But then once LumaFusion got out, it took 6 months to ramp up to a living wage for both of us. But so we did put a little bit of there was a little bit of financial stress on both of us, I think, to get to this point where we could
Sure.
just run a business. But if it weren't for
That's
Corel, like agreeing to that, we wouldn't have been able to do it at all because it took 3 years to develop LumaFusion. So
right.
yeah.
Man, that's really, really interesting. I think I've been listening to a lot of this podcast called How I Built This by Guy Raz and from NPR Radio. And it's just for me as someone who's, seemingly every day, having these ideas and these sort of ambitions and goals and stuff. And right now I'm like strategizing and figuring out how to prioritize certain things, right? Knowing that I can't do everything right now. Certain things will get done later, some things get done now and stuff like that. And one of the common themes that I've heard in these conversations very often was just about like, for people who want to do what you guys have done and who want to do what I am in the process of doing, of sort of, having a platform, having something that you've created that hopefully inspires other people and allows other people, in your case, to be able to, be a tool to be able to help them do the things that they want to do. The common thing that I hear so much is that moment where you want to do it, but a lot of people are afraid of the sort of, diving in the deep end and just going for it. And like in my case and in your case, it sounded like, yeah, I think you mentioned you guys were like the writing was on the wall kind of thing. You guys were anticipating that to happen. So you kind of took the preemptive strike, so to speak. And very similarly in my case, as a matter of fact, when I was working at Verizon, there were major layoffs. And, I ended up being part of the first wave of layoffs. And then I strategized and figured out a way to network and still remain with the company, which I did for another year. But during that year, I knew, I was like, all right, well, that was a sign I needed. Now I'm going to start figuring out, these next steps for me. And I think that is very inspiring to hear, other people talk about that moment, especially people like in retrospect, right? It happened years ago. And now you kind of fast forward and you've been smiling the entire conversation. I can tell you're excited about, working for the company. And, shame on me a little bit for, let's put it this way. I'm very specific with how much research I do prior to the conversations, because I really enjoy them being like more candid and wow and all that kind of stuff. But I did not know at all that you were the co-founder. I didn't know you by name. I just saw your face, and I saw the email from the other Kevin who helped coordinate this. And so I didn't know that you were the person that I was going to be interviewing, which is even more incredible. So thank you for taking some time out. And yeah, it's a great thing. And I mean, the fact that like, I want to talk a little bit about the latest update that you guys just put out. And so like for people that are into technology and apps and using apps to help better them and better their creations and stuff like that, it's like a celebratory moment, right? When this news comes out about these features that people are always looking for, right? And so, I think maybe it was about 4 or so months ago, I want to say 4 or 5 months or something, like at least when I got, wind of it, like it was a post or something. As a matter of fact, it was right around the Apple keynote thing that they did, the WWDC perhaps, or one of those things, right? And there was like, me watching it like I do every year. And then I remember seeing LumaFusion. I was like, oh, that's LumaFusion. I felt excited. I was like, oh, they're getting some shine on here. And then I remember seeing like a look like something different, like the multicam or something on the screen that looked different. And then I was like, and then, going on the message boards and like reading, like everyone's speculating and stuff. And then I think you guys shortly after, maybe that day or a day after, had an official post of all those updates. And when I tell you like we'll just go over a few of them, but the drag to resize is incredible for me. Like instead of having the little space to kind of go through the files, like that's a huge thing for me, and something that I've never done before. I'll talk about that in a second. The other thing, of course, is the hard drive. Like reading from the hard drive, for me, I get like a little stressed out with like running out of storage and not like always having to like manage that and be like, oh man, I want to edit this episode, but I'm running, near the end of storage on my iPad. Now I have to go and clean things up and do this. And so now I'm starting to formulate a better workflow to, this latest episode that I just put out earlier today. I edited that whole thing on from a USB stick, which was like, it was a breath of fresh air. It worked seamlessly. It was excellent. And then the thing that I didn't expect to use, like I haven't dove into the AUV3. I'm a music producer as well. That's probably my main prominent like passion. So I haven't dove into that space just yet. And using the AUV3s and using the features that you guys implemented. But the one that I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I actually am is the seemingly minor feature. It came at the end of you guys's video. You're like, oh, by the way, there's one more extra thing for you guys that want to use your iPad and edit on another screen. And doing that, like I was like, and I had my keyboard connected. I'm like, this is incredible. This is like, you guys really did. It wasn't just one update. It was like, you threw it all out there, and I'm super appreciative, and it's free, which is crazy nowadays. So you can tell that, like what you mentioned earlier, it shines through and resonates, with the users, that you guys do care. And I'm excited. Even I want to hear a little bit about, I know I've been talking a lot, but I'm gonna give you a chance. So I want to hear a little bit about, you guys' plans for the next rollout as well, which is exciting. So these are features that maybe everyday people aren't going to need, but if you do need them, hey, we're implementing these as well, so we can be even more of a prominent, tool to use. So yeah, I appreciate it. I'm super excited to hear a little bit about, like, I guess your philosophy and the process kind of going through making those decisions.
Yeah, about what to put in it, or
yeah. So I would say decisions on what to put in, and also how to determine like which features did you guys think, oh, these should be free and these should be, part of the pro option that come out.
Yeah, I mean, it really is that I feel like, well, and I've said this a lot, and I hope it doesn't come back to bite me someday. But I feel like editing should not be a subscription, for one. That's my first point here. You edit, some people edit once a year, twice a year. Some people edit once a month, but hardly anybody edits every month, to be honest. Like maybe you do because you're a pro, but a lot of people don't. And if you charge a subscription for that, every month that they don't edit, they're going to have a bad feeling like, oh man, I wasted money again and again and again. So it turns editing into something that's not joyful. It's guilt ridden. And so I didn't want to do a subscription, but I do feel like if you buy an app, you should get the things that I expect in a normal video editor for that price that you buy it for. That one-time price, you pay $30. You should get, color correction, all sorts of editing functions, mixing, all those things. I think every editor should have these. Those are going to be free. And so any update, like, should it have a resizable UI? Yeah, it should. We hadn't done it yet, but when we did, that should definitely be free. It's just part of what you expect from a good product. Audio EQ, again, that was a pretty complex feature to develop, but still it should be free. So I can say that about a lot of things, but there's some things that I can say, not only are they a lot of effort to develop, but for some people, they wouldn't even want them or use them. So they're extra to a normal workflow. And that would be things like multicam, advanced keyframing, these kind of more specialty workflows. And that's where I think it's fair for us to say, we spent a year developing this. And we've already given you, well more than $30 on a normal video editor. So if you want this feature, please keep us in business and pay for it. So so that's how we decide, should it be in there and is it an extra? I mean, that's a long answer for a short question, but that's how we kind of go about it. And it does take a fair amount of discussion and soul searching.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That makes total sense. So let's talk about the multicam. So multicam means that we, imagine me having three cameras that I'm using to record something right now, I'd have to record them and put them all in the timeline. And then if I wanted to like do the B-roll footage and just kind of transition, I'd have, I mean, it's not for me as a I'm not that detailed, like when it comes to video editing for the stuff that I'm putting out yet, although I'm trying to like start experimenting a little bit more to make the videos more dynamic. But I guess my question would be, aside from like what I just mentioned of having the three timelines or the three video files on the timeline and like taking out this chunk so that it shows the video underneath it and doing X, Y, and Z. How is multicam going to be like? What will be the different experience for getting that same outcome versus what's available today?
Yeah, it's super cool. The one way I could show you would be just to actually show you how it works. I'll point out why that's so special. But I think that seeing it will tell you a lot just by seeing how it works. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna just I'll just start a new thing here, new project. And over here, I'm gonna go to my imported files, and I think in Dropbox, which I've imported from Dropbox, is some multicam clips. So like this is a shoot that we all did as a team one Friday night.
Nice.
And we had a band and some break dancers, and we shot with 12 iPhone 12s and other iPhones. And we had them from the ceiling, hanging from the ceiling. We had them on gimbals. We had them standing around the stage.
Yeah.
And and then we had the master audio, which you can see here. That was going to a mixer. So when I do multicam, I'm just gonna tap this create button, and I'll just put one clip in it. Enter. So I just create a multicam clip, and it put the first camera in. And I can just go through and drag my cameras down here. So you could do it like this, or you could, select like this one, select these guys and just drag them in, right? So, so then you get your 12 cameras that are lined up here, right? See that? And if you take this handle, which is part of the resize that you were talking about, you can see all 12 cameras. Now they're maybe not in sync right now, but we will have the ability to sync by automatic, by time code, by the audio waveforms, and automatic will just select a combination or whatever the best setting is for your media, or you can do it manual, which I'm going to do in this case because we haven't quite hooked up the syncing yet. So that's this week is what we're working on. But you can see now that all these waveforms from each of these cameras are in sync. And once they are in sync, you just press finish, and I'm going to insert and open the switcher. So now I have this switcher that I can just play, and sorry, I'm going to just turn down the audio so we don't have to listen to it, but normally you would have the audio. Anyway, and you play, and you just can cut to whatever scene you want to cut to. And if you make a mistake, it's really not a big deal, because you can go back when you're done and modify every cut point or just select a different angle. So actually, I accidentally got 2 camera 4s on there, but that's okay. We just can ignore that. Anyway, when you're done, you are ready to just go out of your switcher, and you've got your clip here. And now we have our cut piece. So you asked, what makes that better than putting it on multiple tracks? Well, I mean, first of all, obviously the syncing, you don't have to sync it yourself. Like when you're just using your finger to tap on what you want to see in the cut, that's all you have to do. I mean, it's so simple. You're not thinking about oh, is this really in sync, or do I want to turn off and on this track or this track or that track, so you can see what there's, you can see all of it, you just tap.
Wow.
It's just fun. But I think because it's so fun and easy, so traditionally multicam editing was kind of reserved for people doing big events, because multicam editing was complex. And not only did you have a complex shoot, but you also had a complex edit. You have to know how to use multicam editing in like Final Cut or Premiere. And there's little tricks to it. And like you have to assign your cameras and so on. And it means that people aren't going to want to break out the multicam editor to do 2-camera shoot. Like it would be just easier just to follow along with the other camera and switch it, right? But making it this easy and this fun to do, like it's not a big deal to break out the multicam editor. You just press create and you're doing it.
Right.
So that's the kind of experience that I think iPads bring to editing, and also what we strive for at LumaTouch is to look at the process really as users. And we also ask users to look at the process with us, and we watch them looking at it. But any moment that feels a little uncomfortable, or it feels intimidating, just depressing, whatever the situation is, like, oh, how can we fix that? How can we make that better? We're moving to a new platform that's touch. Nobody's been here before, so we can do it however we think it can be done. So we don't need to say, oh, well, Final Cut and Premiere and so do it this way, so I guess we have to stay with the standard, which might be true if you stay on the same platform. But now we have this new platform. We can kind of reinvent things, and we're trying to do it with all mindfulness of trying to say, how do we make this feel good and fun to do?
Wow. I can't wait until, first of all, you have no idea how exhilarating that was to watch, first of all. Maybe you do, but I can't wait until I release this episode and there's like you giving the demo of what you just did. I didn't even see the face I was making, but I know that like my face, like my jaw was dropped, like when you were just clicking, and just as easy as that was, I was like, my goodness. Like now, like you just said, now I can make content. Other LumaFusion users can make content that is just more exciting to look at. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm very excited. I'm so exhilarated about this. This is incredible. This is great news. I didn't realize what that meant. But this is going to be huge for everyone.
Yeah. And so like there'll be options, like if you have a master track of audio, you can throw that master audio on there. And as you cut, I mean, if you say it's a master audio, we know not to cut it. That is your master audio. So all the other clips will be silent, and you'll just be cutting, and the final audio will be your audio from your mixing board or whatever.
Right.
Best audio.
Right.
So, yeah.
Man, I hope that other LumaFusion users don't get mad at me saying this, but I would gladly pay like $100 for these features. Just saying. Okay. I don't know what the price is looking like, but I'm just saying I'm that excited right now that I'm just like, here you go, take it.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I mean, I'd venture to say it won't be $100 because iPad apps and features, they don't like that kind of money on the App Store. But yeah, thank you for that. We haven't priced it yet, and so that's a whole big effort all in itself. And we're going to interview a lot of people. I now know what price you would put, so I'll put that down.
Yeah. Just put me as anonymous though, because I don't want people boycotting me. All right.
But there's other people that would say it should be free, so it'll be a balance.
Balancing out for sure. So wait, so Terry, we were talking earlier. So the fact that you are part of the team, like one of the main parts of the team, right? That has an app that so many people like myself and many others rely on and use every day, and it's like a part of what we do, right? To some people it's a part of what they do in order for their for their profession. For me, it's on its way to that point. How does that feel, like having like the homegrown, like created it yourself, and now 8 years, I'm a math guy, so no, 8 years later, now it's like it's where it is, where I'm just talking to you about it. Other people are just so excited about the app. Like, is that like as exhilarating as one might imagine?
Yes, it is.
Uh-huh.
Like I, you know, on a not with this, but like on days you just wake up and you open your eyes and you either think, oh, it's Saturday, or you think, oh, I've got a dentist appointment today, or there's something that drags you down from the moment you open your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And having been a part of LumaTouch and being here and doing this and being at a critical point where I think it's a junction in video editing, where we're moving to a new platform, we're moving to a touch experience,
Mm-hmm.
and being at the forefront of that.
Yes, yes.
I don't care if I have a dentist appointment. I wake up every day like with stars and sparkles, man. I'm just like excited and happy and so, so grateful. Like
Mm-hmm.
every single day of my life to be what we're doing this and where we are. It's just, I can't explain it. And I don't even think that I deserve to, I'm not the kind of person that thinks, well, I worked really hard for this, and so this is, what it is. I
Yeah.
just feel grateful. I'm like, wow, we did this and it's amazing. And I'm so grateful, so happy. Yeah, Kevin told me not to cry on interviews, so I'm not gonna cry.
Right.
But
I'm gonna work on it.
it's that kind of thing where it really can touch me. So
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. That definitely means a lot. And it resonates with me, because that's what I see for myself as well. Using the experiences that I've had in corporate, as a middle school math teacher, now as an entrepreneur who tutors math and teaches piano, and someone who, I know where I excel, I know what I enjoy doing. And now I'm sort of putting all those things together and being able to figure out how can this be something that can help other people. And I'm kind of on my way there, and it's super exhilarating and exciting, in its own right. I would ask the question about, for people like me and others who are out there who use your product and want to, I mean, I guess I'm kind of doing it now with the interview, but in addition to this, like, want to support in other ways, bring visibility. Like, I know I tag you guys sometimes on which I think is incredible. Your Instagram handle, whoever handles that, is doing an incredible job at like at we know what the benefit is of sharing, and other people get visibility, and then you can kind of network and stuff like that. So you guys are awesome at resharing content and stuff. But other than that, like, is there anything that someone like me, like, what else can I do to pay it forward, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, like, pay it forward and be able to like bring some more visibility to this incredible product?
I think the thing that I enjoy the most, and I think spreads the word the most, is to actually go out and edit something gorgeous. Like, put your passion down into a story, and then share the story. And if you see fit, to say, yeah, I cut this on LumaFusion on an iPad, then do that. Like,
Gotcha.
There's no way to convince someone who maybe has edited on Final Cut or Premiere or anything else, and that this is adequate, besides showing them what you can do. And I think this is the most fun we have here at LumaTouch, is to see the edits that people do. And they send us a link, and we're just like, this is really cool. And
Awesome.
it really touches us. We're really excited about it. And we try to do contests and stuff once in a while. But I think that's the best way. It's just do something cool.
That makes total sense. I love that. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, that's something I haven't I'm starting to get more like, especially on the creative side with my music and like doing things where the scene changes to the beat. That's like what I love doing. And I haven't, I guess, dabbled in that as much as of late, but like I'm looking to get back into that. So I totally understand and totally know what you're talking about. Those like cool edits where it like looks sharp and looks like some attention to detail was put in and that type of thing. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Mm-hmm.
very fun, and I think there's a lot you can do on this app too. It's got so one of my so I'm a I'm a timeline nut. Like I've always loved editing. The first time I fell in love with editing was in college. It was about 4 in the morning because we had to schedule the editing suite back then. I'm 57, so it was years and years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the only time I could get. And the editing person I was supposed to be editing the show with had fallen asleep on the suite in the couch in the suite.
Mm-hmm.
I had made a cut that just didn't work over and over. And then I changed it by 1 frame and the cut was perfect. And it was like, it was such power and joy to say, I can manipulate something till it's perfect. And then it's magical.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to wake him up. I'm turning around like, what are you doing sleeping? Didn't you see what just happened? then I've been doing that ever since. I just get a lot of joy from just the act of putting different things together and what is sort of, I keep hitting what is sort of a ballet of motion and sounds, and then rewatching those beautiful moments over and over to really just enjoy what I've done. It's kind of narcissistic in a way, but it's really joyful.
It's relatable. Yeah, you're super like proud of it, and you're excited. Maybe is a better word. Excited about what you're able to create and want to share it with others. It's like there's an exhilaration with that for sure. That I could relate to. Making stuff that people enjoy, no matter what that group is, whether you're just starting out or whether you've been doing it for a while or whatever. There are people that like the stuff that you're doing, and it's exciting. It really is exciting as I'm learning.
Yeah, and even like with editing, you don't even have to have an audience to like sit and replay a cut you made and totally enjoy it. Like you are the audience and you're the creator, and it's kind of pretty cool.
That's so true. So take it this way. So like my YouTube channel, I recently had to make a sort of adjustment on the channel because it started out with KL Experience, and then little by little I started really diving into my music producing on the iPad and playing the piano and all these other things that have more to do with music and creativity. And it was a different audience. Like most of my audience, most of my videos that get watched on my channel are when people are searching for, how to do this on this music app or something specific like that. My KL Experience is more of a podcast where people aren't necessarily searching for it, unless if it's, like someone like yourself or a few other people where it's for an app that a lot of people will look for and stuff. So recently, and I'm pretty excited about this too, it really doesn't have too much to do with LumaFusion in itself, but it's just exciting to me. Another exciting little development is that so I decided I have a website, kalexperience.com, that originally was just, some information about myself. Another tab was like a few select episodes of the show that would link you to my YouTube channel. And another tab was like my music. So like a little offering of like a few different beats and music that I made. So what I'm doing right now is I am making my YouTube channel like mostly about the music stuff and mostly about the creativity. And I'm recording these episodes of KL Experience. I'm still putting them on YouTube, but I'm putting them as unlisted. And I'm eventually going to have every single episode as I release them on my website as unlisted. And you can just click there and watch it. The reason I'm doing that specifically is because like YouTube is a learning process of like what to make and what not to make, and how if I put out an episode of this show and it gets 100 views and I put out like these other videos that get like thousands, like that are about music stuff, like it confuses the algorithm from my understanding and from my, research and stuff like that. So now instead of like having a separate YouTube channel only for KL Experience, which I thought about, but that would be maybe a lot to manage. Now I have like a plan, right? A plan to say every episode is going to be there on my website. So you can just go there and it looks beautiful to me now. You go there right now and I don't have all 67 of them up, but I have I started putting the old ones and it's like very systematic. You can see a little description about it. You can easily get to it. And then I'll be taking every single one of these episodes, which I think would live amazingly in a podcast format, like a audio only podcast format. And I'm going to move every single one of them with like, maybe do like a new voice introduction, like, hey guys, welcome to KL Experience Podcast. Today's episode, we're going back in the archive and we're going to check out episode, 2 from, last year, whatever, and then play that exact episode and eventually catch up where like I'm fully caught up with all the audio podcasts and like someone who wants to check out my show, you just go to klexperience.com and right away it's just welcome to KL Experience. And then right underneath it's like every single episode. So like, that's what's exciting to me. Like just coming up with that aha moment where it's like, oh, this could work. I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, I also don't like having to put tags in videos on YouTube all the time and don't like all these other little things that now I don't have to do. If you're interested in the show, you know where to go to get it, right? It's like all the episodes will be right there. So I'm super excited about that.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, iteration is really, I feel like it's about forgiving the process. You have to try something and then forgive yourself for failing at some little part of it and iterate, get better and get better and get better. And that's, I think that if I was going to give advice to someone, as you said, do you have any advice? I mean, the advice I have is that whatever you do is not going to be perfect. There might be someone doing it better, but the key is to not feel bad about that, to say, hey, I got that far and now I'm going to iterate and change one little thing at a time until it's exactly the way I want it. And that's the way we do software development as well, is we hopefully don't release until it's exactly the way I want it, but we in-house, we try something and I might say, hey, Chris, I want the interface this way, and like draw a picture, wireframe or whatever, and try it. And I would say more than half of the time, something about it is wrong. It's like we try it and we say, yeah, that just doesn't work. We have to try it. We have to iterate and try it again and again and again. And then ask other people what they think. Well, what do you, just be open to this kind of process. That's where you can really become an expert or become, what you are. You formed yourself into an expert at what you do. And that's super cool. But it doesn't, I think, especially for young people, maybe they think it's just
instant.
Yeah.
Or
lucky, or but it's just that you keep trying. Nobody's going to wake up and be really great at YouTube or really great at editing.
We have an incredible tool at our disposal too, that I've been doing a lot lately, is like, a lot of people follow other, creators or other individuals who are in a similar space as them, but maybe they've been doing it for a while longer. And they have maybe a bigger audience. What I've really, really find inspiring for me, and that's been super helpful for me, is like, whether it's YouTube or if it's Instagram, if it's on YouTube, like looking at the type of content that this person is currently putting out. And then if their channel allows you to do it, like filter by oldest videos to newest, and like look at the stuff they were doing 11 years ago or 7 years ago. And for me, like going through that and seeing how, their thumbnails look nothing like what they do now. All the quality, everything about the content is like, wow, that this person used to be, kind of like where I am now, or kind of like where I was last year or something. And then what you do is like scroll and you see the moment where things start to click. Like maybe from what I'm kind of passionate about is like the type of video, like, okay, this person is doing this type of video and they're like having fun with it, or it's enjoyable for them, but maybe it's not reaching the type of people that they want to, and they try something different. Maybe they try acting silly on camera or doing something a little bit different. and then that like works for them, and then you see that they double down on it, and now they're, you know, they're just doing their thing. That's very inspiring to me. That's kind of like what I love to see, and I share that with a few people that I mentor, that which is like we live in an unprecedented time where we're able to learn from and like really see the journey that way, as well as like the podcast I mentioned, and hearing from other people who are willing to share. But there's so many ways to learn about what that process was like for people who are, you know, who have reached their goals, and be able to pull from all these different things. And that's exactly what I'm doing, like soaking everything in, and just like implementing little bits and pieces. And it's very fun. Like I love the journey. I love the process. I don't have any intent. Like if someone said, here, hey, Kevin, pay me, you know, X amount of dollars, or here you go, I can just jump you up into whatever your goal. Like, no, 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 no. That's not what this is about. Like this process is so fun and incredible to like, look at this. Like I'm talking to you right now, and it feels so immersive, and I feel like I'm like literally talking to you, which is crazy what technology allows us to do nowadays. But this is so much fun to be able to do stuff like this, and, you know, have it be a beacon, and you know, inspiration and entertainment, or whatever people are looking for. Like that's something that's exciting to me.
Yeah, and I think it is maybe scary because we have to do all that learning very publicly. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not in the closet. We are out there making mistakes. And, you know, I make a lot of mistakes live
Mm-hmm.
or in recordings like this where I don't have any control out. But the thing is, it is what humans do. We are all humans. We all make mistakes. And sometimes when you see someone else make a mistake, you're like, okay, I can feel okay about all the mistakes I
Right,
make.
right, right. Yep.
It's a very public thing to do now. So that does make it a little scary.
Oh, for sure. All right, so let me do this. I just have a couple rapid fire questions. I'm going to ask a couple of these if I may. Feel free to pass any of them if you'd like to, because I know like with developers and stuff like that, these are just from Reddit. I posted on Reddit like that I'm interviewing you, you know, and you know how Reddit gets crazy sometimes.
Yes.
But let me just pick maybe. All right, so here, so one person says, and again, feel free to just answer them if you want, or I really don't, you know, I'm just trying to be nice to these people here, you know. So someone said, what's LumaFusion's strategy or thinking regards to LumaFusion on the Mac?
Right. So, well, we've supported the M1 Mac, right? Which is really just opening your app for the most part on
Right.
M1. That isn't the Catalyst version, and the Catalyst version would have much more thought going into the experience of the desktop. So
Mm-hmm.
just like we had to put a lot of thought into how to reimagine editing for touch, we would have to do the same going back to the Mac. So, you know, just having like the M1 version, it's okay, but it deserves more. So we are
Mm-hmm.
looking into the Catalyst version, and it does require a lot of rethinking what's the best way to do this on a you know, traditional system with a mouse and a keyboard.
Right.
We have a mouse and a keyboard with the iPad, of course,
Mm-hmm.
or essentially that. But it is totally a different experience if you can't touch the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we have some work to do, but we are looking at that.
Cool. Very good. Okay. I don't understand this question. Someone said, any chance of seeing keyframe easing soon? Don't know
Yes.
what they mean by ease. Is keyframe easing a thing, or do they mean the keyframe feature? Oh, it is. Keyframe easing is a feature. Okay. Okay.
Um, so if you don't mind, I'll just show them what we have.
Oh, excellent. That'd be
Okay,
awesome.
let me share my screen.
GFRY17 is going to be very happy about this.
All right, so let me go back to, let's see, I think I had one called keyframe. So I'm searching for, oh, I thought I had a project that was for keyframing, but let's just
Whoa,
see.
why didn't I know that you can search projects? I was going to ask you that question earlier.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, down here you have the ability to search and also to sort.
Oh
And
yeah,
you
okay.
can add a color. So typically, because I'm a little bit lazy, I'll just set like masters to red and, you know, things. Yeah, I use a color coding scheme
Yeah,
and then I
yeah.
add the colors. So, but you can also do search and so
Mhm.
on. So I
Very
just,
cool.
oh, I see why it didn't come up too, because I spelled keyframing wrong in the, see, it's KYE instead of
Ah, yeah, there you go. That'll do it.
never mind.
Okay.
Anyway, so like here's a project that I better turn the audio down on or it'll be really loud.
Mhm.
But I was just messing around with some like traffic. So I just took a theme of traffic and decided, well, I'm going to cut together a bunch of things and
Love
then
it.
use some keyframing with easing on it to do these effects. So as you see, this bottom layer kind of goes back and gently, each of those gently comes to a stop. And that is
Got you. Wow.
have easing on them. So I'm
Hmm.
going to do a new one right here. So I double tap on this clip and I'm going to say I want the first frame to be, well, let's just say it's off frame, right?
Mm.
And then I'll turn on keyframing here.
Hmm.
And then I'm going to go just to totally highlight this. I'll go to the middle and then I'll go down here and move it off. All right.
Okay.
So if I played this, it's going to just be a square, like, you
Hmm.
know, a sharp edge. So
Hmm.
and it all went one speed.
Hmm.
But if I go here into the keyframe options, which is coming out in the along with the multicam and so on. You won't see this in 3.0, but it's about ready to go.
Hmm.
Anyway, up here in this corner, you see this keyframe options, and you see that the in is set to linear and the out is set to linear. If I set the in to ease, I can adjust this. If I set the out to ease. So now what should happen is it'll go fast up into the corner and then slow down at the corner and then start slow and then go fast. But it will still be in a square. So
Hmm.
I'll just play that. So see, did you see it kind of came to a little bit of an E?
And then yeah, yeah.
Easy. Now,
Oh
the
shoot.
other thing is curves. So this has to do with placement instead of speed.
Hmm.
So if I set this to curve and this to curve, I should be able to, and like I said, this is not finished. I just did it earlier, but you should be able to, okay, so it's not, this part isn't finished, but what you
Hmm.
should be able to do is make, I don't know if you can still see me, I think you can.
I
You
can.
make that square into a curve. So a
Okay.
curve in space. So not only will you have the ability to change the speed of how fast and how slow it comes to stops, as well as the arrangement of things as they. So if you see in this, I have 3 layers, and on each of these keyframes, I have put an ease on it.
Wow. That is so cool. That's so cool. I would like to spend more time learning even the current abilities of keyframing, which I'm very, very weak in. Sometimes I want it to do a certain thing and it doesn't, and that's because I'm not doing it properly. So I need to like spend some more time with that, so that I'm more prepared once these additional features come out, which look like that looks so cool. Like when you first played the video and just all 3 of those together, like
Yeah,
that looks so like,
yeah,
interesting, Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And it's a super fun. And the key to remember in keyframing is that whatever the frame that you're on
Hmm.
is you set a keyframe and that's how that frame is going to look. And then if there's no other keyframe after that on the whole clip, it's going to stay that way till the end.
Until the end. Okay. Okay.
Make motion, you absolutely need 2 keyframes. One says it looks like this and one says it looks like that. So then
Right.
therefore it's a motion. So that, it's pretty fun. And, you can do fun things like on this one, I think I must have put some sort of mask um, on probably with cropping, or yeah, I cropped that and maybe did some blending. Yeah, I did a multiply blending on that. So if I did normal, it's a little bit brighter, but you see, you can choose
Mm-hmm.
different. So yeah, it's super, this is fun to say, I want this frame to look like this, and then play around with different settings in the frame and fit. And also I could go over here and say, yeah, actually I want that particular thing to be blurry, and I still have it up there, but now it's blurry, if you see
Right,
that.
right.
Oh,
Oh,
and
wow.
all these are also keyframeable. So you could say, I want it to start, not blurry. And then over here, I want it to be very blurry. And that's what you're gonna get. So it's just a matter of saying, placing your cursor and then changing the setting, and you'll get a new
Right.
key automatically.
That's cool. That's helpful, actually. That, yeah. Okay. I feel like after this conversation is done, I'm going to just go experiment and go crazy a little bit.
Hope so, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Let's see what else. So I already showed you kind of the, ability to change your layouts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Double tap to reset it. Like if you've gotten it way down here and you just want it back to normal, you just double tap.
Oh, yeah. Get it back to default. Yep.
Let's see what else we got. The external drive editing, which you talked about, right?
Right. Which I'm loving right now.
One of
Someone,
the things I could show you that isn't in yet, but it will be, is this vector scope and waveform. So
wow. What a small world. Someone that was going to be the next question. Someone says, when are scopes coming? These terms, clearly, I'm not as familiar with what it means, but that's exactly what you're about to show. So I'm curious.
right, yeah. So if you hold, if you tap on this button, you get the scopes. And if you hold it down, you get this little menu of saying, oh, I want 1, 2, or 3, and how you want it laid out. So say I choose 3,
Mm-hmm.
then on this drop down, I can choose whether I want it to be a histogram, waveform, vector scope, what colors I want to see. So maybe I only want to see the luma, and yeah, or, I could change it to a vector scope or whatever. And so each of these can be set up how you want. And that's all live. So as you play, you would see these responding to your media. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so
Wait, so
that's,
what do scopes does it have to do with the color or the video? I'm not familiar with with
so
scopes.
yeah, so let me show you. So this one is a histogram. So it's showing 0 on the left side over here,
Mm-hmm.
and 255, which for regular video is white, right?
Okay.
So 0 to 255. And the bottom row is the luminance or the brightness. And then you've got your blues, your greens, and your reds. And so you can adjust. So if I put like a color on here and then raised up my reds, you can see that mostly my reds
Oh, yeah.
and my luminance, because the red is adding luminance as well.
Okay. Okay.
On this one, the second one here, this is a regular waveform. 255 is at the top and 0 is at the bottom. And you can see that after 255, it just gets crushed.
Yeah.
So it's just another way of looking at your media. So in this case, like if I brought the brightness down to here, and you could bring the shadows up, or the gamma. The gamma is the mid range, so you
Mm-hmm.
can really get the most out of your image. So say your image has a huge range because you have a really good camera, right? Well, a monitor, no matter what monitor you have, is going to have a smaller range that
Mm.
it can see.
Yeah.
So this gamma setting lets you adjust what part of that huge range you're going to see on your monitor.
Ah, okay. So this is real. This is definitely something that I don't know if I say only, but I guess pro users would be people who would look at this as something where they need it or are inquiring about it. Because like for me, I don't even I rarely do color correcting on my videos. Maybe that's like another thing that I'll look at it a little bit, but I don't do a whole lot of that personally. But I feel like as like the creations get more creative, for lack of a better word, and you want it to look a certain way versus a lot of these like the conversations, like they're kind of, you know, they're just, it's just me and you, it's just like a straight up conversation. So I'm looking at this as like when you were just changing that and just looking at like the sunset and looking at how you could change the color as the video is going, like that looked really cool, like doing things like that. I can see the appeal, you know, with that type of a thing there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, there's a lot you can do with color. And I think it is one of the most important parts about video editing. If you were going to edit disparate scenes from different places,
Yeah.
and they just have a different color, you know, like you can't wear purple and green, and you can't edit a slightly red shot next to a slightly green shot because it
Mm-hmm.
exaggerates that
Mm-hmm.
difference and they don't feel right together.
Yeah.
So being able to color correct your whole movie, that's what professionals do. You know, they make a movie, they actually they don't just make it look normal. They pick a style, you know, and put
Yeah.
it on every shot. And every shot is going to respond to the color corrector different. So each scene has to be adjusted so it falls
Yeah.
into the look. So yeah, there's a whole science and art behind that.
That's so cool.
But we also have the ability to import LUTs in here. So there's LUTs are a profile that your camera shoots with. So your camera could have a log profile, which means a low contrast profile that unpacks when you add that LUT back
Mm-hmm.
in post. And those LUTs are sort of scientific unpacking of what the camera did, right? But there's also people that make creative LUTs, like this
Mm.
color punch, cool, okay. I don't like it for that scene, but if I had probably the same footage as the person who made that LUT
Mm-hmm.
and put that LUT on, it might look really cool.
Yeah.
There's creative LUTs, in other words. So you can get different looks that other professional people have made, you know, that you
Right.
can try on. You can import those into LumaFusion, so that's a big deal. I mean, that's been around for a while, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's another thing.
That's awesome.
So one thing you mentioned was using your output monitor. So
Mm-hmm.
this button right above where my finger is, you see the blue dot is my finger.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that button will output this preview to an external monitor. So prior to, I think, iOS 14, we weren't able to have the preview in here and also on an external monitor,
Yeah.
which it was a little awkward to use because you had to look one place and touch another. But
Yeah.
now you can have your external monitor have that and have it on here. So it really makes the feature work for me
It's
anyway.
fantastic. Yeah. And I didn't like I mentioned, I didn't realize how fun it would be. I mean, I'm still going to do the vast majority of my stuff, you know, without a keyboard, without a mouse, without a monitor, just because it's so fun having just that tablet, you know, like on
Yeah.
my massage chair upstairs or just somewhere out and about outside. I like doing editing or music. I like doing like creative stuff like outside of the standard studio. But sometimes like when I am in the studio and just for a change of pace, like I love, like it gave me a feel of like editing like the traditional style, right? Looking on a screen and having a mouse, having a keyboard, which I've never done yet with LumaFusion. So it's
Yeah.
another
I
great
don't know if
feature.
you know this. Did you know you can put 12 tracks of audio on here? So
12 tracks of no, I did not know that. Only six and six, I thought. Yeah, I didn't know.
let me open Storyblocks. So you have 6 tracks of video with audio, but those can also just hold audio without the video. So you
Oh,
could do a mix that, you know, you can just drag your audio up into here. You can have 12 tracks of
oh
that.
wow. I never tried that. That's really cool.
And then with this last version, actually this is out, is the audio EQ,
Hmm.
where you can adjust your EQ. And it's really great for interview footage or something like that, because there's usually some sort of buzz, light noise, or
Mm-hmm.
heaters going, or someone mowing the lawn outside, whatever,
Yeah.
then you can isolate those sounds with the 11 band EQ and be able to pull them down a bit.
It is incredible. So as a music person, I make music different than the vast majority. The vast majority of people do like the linear editing, like on a digital audio workstation with a keyboard and mouse, and they're like recording into like this linear fashion. I have tried to learn it that way and tried to use it that way since it's so popular, but I've come to the realization that like a more vertical workflow for me musically just makes so much more sense. So that's why I do all of my stuff. So I never spend any time in like the horizontal when I'm doing music. When I'm doing video editing, of course, total different story. Like I'm so used to and comfortable with editing video this way that now as I'm thinking about ways, and so I have LumaFusion to really thank for this, right? As I'm thinking of ways to expand and make a song that I created have a little sound effect in this spot and like a little piano medley over here. Like historically with the vertical workflow, that's not really happening that way. It's kind of like a 8 bar, 16 bar kind of loop repeating. But now I haven't really dove into experimenting with it yet, but like I'm very excited about making more complete musical compositions. And I would go as far as to say, because I'm so used to using LumaFusion. I mean, there are things like Cubasis, which is the name of like a very prominent music DAW on iOS. But I would mess around and just like use LumaFusion for audio purposes as well, especially like my podcast, like I was mentioning. I would be using this just because, especially with the EQ stuff you have now, and because I'm so comfortable with it that's pretty exciting for me. It's like I'm using. I mean, some people might say, why are you using a video editing app? I mean, I'm gonna try it with that and just to experiment and see. You just showed some of the capabilities, which are really profound. I think
Yeah, and then when an AU V3 plugin is, right? For
Yeah,
now you can.
those in there, which is incredible
Right.
too.
So if I put in, like, if I, uh, the way I'm hooked up, I doubt you will actually hear this, but you can, let me turn it up a little. So I'll turn this up just a hair so you can hear what I've just done now.
Yeah.
So that was just by adding, an AUV3 plugin.
Right.
So you can download those, like there's hundreds of them on iOS. You just download it. You can get Breast Free, which is noise reduction, reverb, chorus, all sorts of stuff. And as you open them, you'll see the actual interface here
Yeah.
in LumaFusion. So
That is so cool that, yeah, it just shows up right in there. No need to open up the
here
separate
you
app.
can sort of decide which ones you want to actually show.
Yeah.
In case, like, because some of them you may download, they may not be that good, or they may crash everything because they're just, who knows, people can
Hmm.
make what they make. So this allows you to kind of choose what you want to actually work with in LumaFusion so that it's a little safer that way.
Yeah. Man, that makes so much sense. So we're gonna get ready to wrap up because I want to be respectful of your time. And I just, yeah, this was just a great, enjoyable conversation. I learned a lot. I want to definitely keep the dialogue open too, because I think one of the things that I really like love exploring is keeping in contact with the developers. And I'm all about right now exploring ways to like collaborate like we're doing today. And like these are beautiful things, right? Because people who follow my channel who may be interested in starting a YouTube channel or making content but don't know anything about LumaFusion, now they can learn about it. And people who don't know anything about me but want to learn about new features in Luma and things like that will search for it and can get a little bit of exposure that way. So like I'm all about like exploring these types of things. And yeah, I'll reach out, even offline to see what further opportunities there could be to collaborate and, like I said, like work on things together and just to try to bring both parties up together. You know what I'm saying? I think there's opportunities there always, and I love exploring that with people.
And if you we do have courses that are just 2-hour courses for specific things in Luma Fusion, like basic editing, advanced editing, building your brand, and so on like that. So on the website, on our lumatouch.com, you can just see up in the right top corners Academy. Go there, sign up for classes, or for your users or your viewers.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, my friend, really appreciate the time. You guys, let's see, you're 3 hours earlier than me. So what time is it over by you now?
I think it's 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. Oh yeah, it's going on 5 there. So yeah, you got, I mean, you got the rest of your day ahead of you. Just hang out, go outside, go for a nice little leisurely stroll or something. That's probably what I'm about to do in a little bit. But I just want to say, really appreciate the time, taking the time out. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I look forward to the future, the present with the app, as well as the future based on the stuff that you just shared with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. And it was a very enjoyable conversation and not stressful at all. I mean, it's just so fun to talk to you. So obviously you're really good at what you do.
Oh, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that, Terry.
Right. Well, thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Okay.
Okay. You too.